explained earlier on the meeting, I'm all about balance. I mean, that definitely is my thing. And I'm not saying that I have it right all of the time, but I do think that everything that comes down to alignment or having that kind of imbalance or that an equilibrium that it doesn't feel right, it does always come down to boundaries. So yeah, I'm really pleased to talk about this. Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure.
Okay, so Walter is my little boy, and when he said this, he was 4, and he said to me, "Mummy, your feathers are always in a flutter." And I was like, "I'm the girl who talks about balance, right? No, they're not. I've got my shit together completely." And it just stopped me in my tracks. And when I quizzed him on kind of what he meant, because I was, my ego got in the way, and I was like, "What do you mean? Like I'm balancing all the plates, like I'm doing it okay." And he just says, "You're always just going from here to there and you're always rushing." And I was like, okay, if that isn't a wake up call from a 4-year-old, I mean, kids have so much wisdom, don't they, on
Yeah.
boundaries, then I literally don't know, don't know what is. So I always bang on about it with my coaching clients that you can't pour from an empty cup. So by getting really focused and saving time and all those things that we all want to do all of the time, to enable us to grow our business, to be a better mum, to be a better teacher, to be a better wife or partner, is just, to me, is getting clearer on your boundaries. So Lisa Nichols is a great kind of public figure. She's awesome. So she's got great books, and have a look at her. But she says that no one can treat you in a way that you don't allow. And if somebody crosses your line in the sand, that's because your line isn't deep enough. And sometimes we don't always take ownership of that and, think, okay, well, this is on me. Like, what can I change? We're so quick to judge and to get everyone else's opinion or, feel like, oh, woe me, it's all happening to me. Whereas, if you put your line in the sand, then you will be able to be more confident in your choices, and then people just know where you're at. So we need to take responsibility for our own boundaries. Sometimes we expect people to mind read or be the same as us, but we all have our own conditioning and our beliefs and backgrounds and history, and we assume that everyone thinks and feels and acts the same as we do, but they don't. And it's our responsibility, with kindness always, to tell them where we stand, what we're okay with, what we're not okay with, and what we're willing to accept. So this could be to do with, I don't know, invoicing, could be to do with the standards that you're in your class. I've just had somebody reach out to me about parents wanting to push their kids up to the next level and they're not ready. It could be to do with when you're answering emails. It could be to do with, when you're cooking, when you're cleaning, when you can drop your kids off, when all of the things that we are so busy and stretched all of the time. So you are worthy and you are an incredible human, and anyone that pushes your boundaries needs to know that you respect yourself and your self-worth enough to put yourself first. Sometimes that can feel a bit awkward if you're not used to doing it, and even you might have boundaries really strongly with your work ethic or something like that, then with your family or your partner or your mum or your mother-in-law, whoever, you might not. So it's getting about boundaries in all areas of your life. So it's okay to say no. And again, that is can be a tricky one if you're not used to saying it. I don't know. I heard the phrase, "I'm a recovering people pleaser," and I thought that kind of rang a bell with me, and I was like, yeah, I think, especially maybe as teachers, we're givers, we want to give on the gift of dance to everyone and, spread happiness and make them all fit and healthy and increase their, stamina, and but not only that, then mental health and all of that lovely stuff. So sometimes saying no can feel hard. So what I want you to do when you are saying no is think about yourself and your purpose. So by saying no to this thing, is a desired outcome, is that in alignment with my desired outcome? Like, what is it that I'm trying to achieve? What are my goal this month? What am I trying to do? Where am I taking the school? Does that fit? Is that in alignment? Like, ask yourself all of those questions before you say yes or no. And then listen to your heart, your gut, your intuition. I don't know, there's so many words to describe that thing. So whatever floats your boat there, whatever language feels good to you. And then put yourself first before the worry of other people's feelings or reactions. If they react, that's on them. that's hard. You know, you kind of, I don't know, I just sugarcoat everything. I want everyone to be wrapped in cotton wool in my family, you know, and I don't always think about their reaction, but their reaction is on them. And no is a full sentence. And just like anything, practice will make it more comfortable. But I want to reframe the whole no thing, because no definitely makes way for yes. And I think that is good. So say if you say no to one thing, you know, that's making you have space to say yes to something else. So I don't know if you, just by me saying those few points, if there's anything that you're thinking, yeah, okay, I need to establish better boundaries in this, or I'm going to work on this, or in the summer, this is going to be my focus in September. You know, these are where I'm going to be working on. So if you're being called to create clearer boundaries in your life, like I said, it could be in all areas. And when you say yes, when you really mean no, it can lead to resentment, which is just such a big energy drain. You know, at first it might be a little no, and it might not be a big deal, you know, but then before you know it, it's they kind of stack on top of each other. And then you just feel a little bit more resentful, maybe a bit depleted, you know, taken advantage of. So I'm going to reframe saying no as a form of self-care, having clearer boundaries, reframing it as the most giving, loving, compassionate people can still have boundaries, and clear ones at that. And then when they say yes, it's a holy hell yes, and you respect that. And then they give themselves unconditionally to you because you know that they've said yes and they really want to be there to help you and support you. So when your boundaries are clear, it just helps other people to know where they stand. And then they, like I said, they kind of respect your yeses even more. If you're not clear with your boundaries or where they lie, it can just cause confusion, I suppose, like incorrect, like energetic chords, you know, not your right vibration. I'm a little bit woo-woo in my language, I totally get that. But essentially, I want everyone to feel good. And, you know, we are here to feel good. I mean, that's what life should be. And if you're saying yes when you mean no, you know, take a look at yourself and ask yourself why. We've spoken about taking accountability for yourself. You know, what are you missing? You know, what could you journal on? You know, ask yourself, meditate around, what part of me needs something? Could it be the need of approval? We've spoken about being a people pleaser already. Is it fear maybe for not being seen as your authentic self, or, you know, the whole fear of missing out, the fear of saying no to something, and the fear of losing out on something? So yeah, that's just food for thought on your own boundaries. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit more about time. So I speak to my clients and my members in my membership group all the time. You know, what do you want more of? What do you want more of? And they all say, oh, another 24 hours in a day, another hour a day, or, you know, just a week. I just need a week with nothing just so I can catch up, you know. So we're just going to talk about time boundaries. So I don't know if I like how I'm quite organized. I'm a Capricorn. I like to, you know, I've got my diary. It's like all kind of mapped out with time blocking and, you know, doing this, there, that. And that's probably why Walter was like, you're here, there, and everywhere, you know. So it's about creating space. But when you're working, I mean, maybe you have daily tasks or weekly tasks that you need to achieve, and then those recurring ones that are always there. If you are like me and do term time, then it will be kind of maybe rinse and repeat and things like that. So setting yourself some time limits for tasks, working really productively, like chunking time, putting all of the activities or tasks together that suit each other. So say if you are having a creative day, and you're like, right, okay, I'm going to create a social media, I'm going to create a reel, I'm going to create video content, or I need to choreograph and things like that. Try and kind of tie all those things together so you're in that headspace, because flitting from one thing to the next is quite challenging. And also you're going to save loads of time. If you do invoicing, banking, you know, all of that shebang on one day, you're in money mode, you know, and you're not having to flip between different things like that. So list your daily tasks in order of priority as well. So making sure, I don't know if you've heard of eating the frog, like getting the first thing done, and that can feel really, really good. Sometimes we procrastinate, we put that off, we put it off, we put it off, and then it just is there and it becomes a bigger thing because it's just looming, isn't it? And also don't forget to schedule in time for you. When I first started doing this, and I had a newborn and life was just crazy, like my personal life was crazy, the school was growing, it was just like overwhelm central, I like good time blocking lunch and a cup of tea, and that sounds like bonkers, doesn't it? But you know, when you've got a tiny kid and you never get a warm cup of tea, and they're at nursery, and you actually think, okay, I'm going to just take 15 minutes out for myself, and even though you've got your to-do list, it ends up being the bit of the day that you really enjoy, the headspace where the ideas pop in, or if I do that, I don't have to do this, or yeah, let me phone them, they'll be able to help me, and just allowing yourself that time is good. So remember, all of the little things that you do daily, they add up, like kind of compound interest, I suppose. Okay, so time boundaries with yourself, I think. I wonder if you could, in a business sense, say, right, okay, I'm not going to answer my phone between this time and this time. I've got this thing to do. I'm going to put my phone on do not disturb, you know, make sure your nursery or your school or maybe your husband or whoever's on your favourite list, and then their calls will still come through. But if you protect your space, like it could be an email footer, for example, to say, okay, we're in the office on these days, this is when we're answering our emails. By protecting your space and then making people aware, I think that's it. It's all about the communication. Be like, I'm on a meeting for 2 hours, I'm going to shut the office door and kind of no one can contact me. That might be what we have to do in the summer with our kids. Like I know, you know, this summer, if there's something that comes up and Walter's just going to have to entertain himself, it's like having those boundaries, like, no, I need to do this, and then I can have, you know, you can have my full attention, for example. But if you make them aware, then they can't get offended if you don't get back to them. So you'll be hassled less. People will respect your time and your energy more. And if they do contact you, they'll be so much more productive and then not drain you. So I don't know, are you the person that always gets back to a WhatsApp like straight away? A little thing on that, you can swipe left, did you know, and click unread. So I do that all the time. You know, turn your blue ticks off. Put on your answer phone that, you know, you're in the office on these times and you take 48 hours. Put an email footer to say, I'm on summer holidays, my kids are off. You know, be honest. People won't mind if you do, but then they'll just know what to expect. Actually, you've probably got one mate that replies to WhatsApp straight away. And if they don't, you think, oh, that's weird. Why haven't they replied to me? And then there's another mate who will take 10 weeks to reply and you don't think anything of it because that's their normal. So it's about shifting your normal, isn't it? So how you make changes will depend on you and your situation. You know, having set clear days, not being available in my business 24/7. I definitely prioritize time with Walter. Like even bigger than this, I choose to spend time with like-minded souls who are easy to be around, where conversations flow and I can be authentic. You know, small changes like that in your mindset and shifts in your attention may be hard at first, but I promise once you do them, you'll be hassled less. People respect your energy more. And when they do contact you, you will be so much more productive. Have I got time to carry on, Sue? Are you happy? Yeah, cool. I'm talking about energy boundaries and then about money boundaries. So let's start with energy. I feel like I love sharing this stuff and I'm like get all buzzy about it, get faster and faster as I'm talking. So I'll slow down a little bit. Okay, I can't remember the first time that I heard the phrase energy vampires. Has anyone heard that? I really love it and it's just stuck with me. Sometimes you can't quite put your finger on it. It could be someone or something that just doesn't share your energy, drains you, doesn't quite sit right. That moany friend, a negative mindset of someone, a student you can't quite gauge, you can't quite put your finger on it, a task you hate, something you always put off. And then that come back to me again, okay, still it's all about boundaries. So we are responsible for who we let into our lives, who we share our energy with, who we share our time with, and no one else can protect that other than ourselves. I said it before, you can't pour from an empty cup. You know, when you're up against it and when you're running your business, that's even truer. So I really do focus a lot on setting boundaries of my time and things that matter to me. You know, mindset, perception, all of that, like what you're willing to do to make a change. It could be giving yourself energy boundaries with what you're outsourcing. For example, if there's a task that's always on your to-do list that you hate doing, then outsource it. Free up your time. Remember, saying no to that. You don't like making, I don't know, Canva kind of templates for your Instagram, that's fine. There'll be someone who loves that, and that will fill their cup. Outsource that, then you can be focusing on marketing for, face-to-face marketing, or getting your website sorted, or whatever it might be that you are better, that your strength applies a lot more to. So making sure that you have lots of space in your diary for pleasure, for rest. I'd said it's all about having fun, isn't it? And then that's definitely when your creative endeavors come to the forefront of your mind. When you're not thinking but you're thinking, when you're on holiday, I bet that's when you get loads of ideas. I always go away, and my VA who helps me would just be like, I know that you're aware, I know that you've had time, because suddenly I'll get loads of blog posts through, or I'll be writing loads of notes down, I'll get loads of ideas and things. So putting yourself first with your energy, it can take an awkward conversation. I'm not saying it might not. It might be that awkward email you don't like writing. You've never asserted your authority with your own boundaries, I suppose. It might be a moment in order to release you from your previous habits, but it will be really freeing when you do it. Okay, and money. I feel like money mindset is just like a whole other thing, but I'll tap on it to do with boundaries a little bit. So there's a great money coach called Denise Duffield-Thomas. She's a really cool Oz lady. If you've listened to any of her books, she's got a really cool voice if you listen to her on Audible. So she says to find the path of least resistance and remove any obstacles that blocks the flow of abundance, otherwise known as a money block. Your money blocks are your beliefs, habits, and stories that stop you from receiving money in the most natural way possible. Okay, so these money blocks could show up for you around issues with pricing, knowing your money boundaries, spending, for example. It might be the opposite. You might be a saver. You might have all this money in your business account. Your accountant's like, yeah, you can up your salary. And you're like, oh, no. Are you uncomfortable chasing parents for money? How you spend your money? You might have some prehistoric money beliefs passed down to you, like you've got to work really hard for your money, or you can help people. You can be in that nurturing, but you can't make money. You can't do both, So watch your self-talk, your own boundary with yourself around money, and see how it plays out. Just be curious, be observing. And like we said at the beginning, being aware, that's the first thing that you can do. So personally for me, it's always best to listen to my gut. Check in with my boundaries to see what's right in my bones. There was an opportunity that came up recently for us to buy another dance school. And I don't know why, I just couldn't put my finger on it. And I was like, it doesn't feel right. And my business partner was like, yeah. And I was like, I just can't, I don't know, I can't get excited about it yet. And it hasn't worked, it hasn't felt right. And that kind of would have been a big flow of money, but equally I think that would have been a big drain on energy. And it's about kind of weighing up those two. What is for me, that's what I'm about. So the more you listen to your intuition, the more you listen to your soul sister, I think, the louder that she will talk. I promise. Sometimes it can just start off like a whisper, especially if you're not into all this stuff and it's really unusual for you, or the noise of just family life and business life is just crazy, But your belly really is your second brain. It has an intuitive brain, and your gut feelings are so powerful. So tune into this space when deciding on what feels right for you and your boundaries. Okay. I feel like we need to all take a nice deep breath here just to let all of that simmer in. So a big takeaway from me about the whole thing, if you don't take away anything else, is that you can't pour from an empty cup. So if you're giving everything to everyone all of the time and you're not actually happy, then you're not giving the best of yourself to anyone, meaning your family, your business, your students, for example. If you're crazy busy and you've got no boundaries with admin, and then you don't have time to create great lessons, then you're not giving your best to your students, and that is what your school is about. So remember, you choose to run your business because you want a business that runs around you, that works for you. Okay. Some people might leave corporate roles to then go and work in their own business, and then they end up working more. It's just crazy. It's your business. You choose your hours. You do what you want. Your boundaries are your own. So you're not doing this in order to have another boss in form of your studio or your parents or your clients. So stand strong, know your vision, be okay with implementing your boundaries. You know, with Walter, when he was little, I couldn't answer emails at 10 o'clock at night. I couldn't put my tap shoes on and make up a routine at midnight. You know, times evolve and your boundaries will shift over time. You know, so when you get clear on your purpose, you know, you will be okay to implement your boundaries. So I want you to be filling up your cup by having tighter boundaries. I want your cup to be so full, it's overflowing onto your saucer. We're at Downton Abbey, we're having afternoon tea. If you imagine a really beautiful cup with a lovely saucer underneath, it's so full, it's going into the saucer, and then you can be giving everyone from your excess. And that will be a great place for you to be giving. There we go. Thank you for having me, Sue.